so this is my little sample that I've made using my sewing machine and these lovely layers of fabric. Now you may notice that a sneaky little colour has popped in there, which I will talk about in a moment, but the main thing I want to talk to you about is the importance of doing a sample is that you can find out how exactly things are going to work. So this is a piece of I decided not to use in the end this stitch and tear. Right, this is the stitch and tear which I originally had underneath my fabrics to make a nice stiff piece ready for sewing, because I decided that actually that was really a bit too stiff for making my phone case. So instead I thought I wanted something with a bit of give and a bit of softness to it. So this is a Violin product. I think it's like a medium weight non-iron on Violin. I personally prefer things that are non-iron for most of what I do. Just I find that easier to use. It sort of keeps it simple. Anyway, I don't know why really, but there we go. So on the back you can see I have got this Violin, and what I did was I sandwiched a little bit, half of this under here has got a little bit of my favourite cotton curtain interlining fabric, and that's in that half there, and this half hasn't. This has just got the interlining. Now this is I could have made bigger samples and I could have made one with each of these layers, but I just was being keeping it small, keeping it neat, so I don't have to do too much work on it. And I quite like them both, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it with this side, if you like, because it's not too thick, and what I'm going to add into the mix is I'm going to line it with some felt. I think that's how I'm going to make the phone case. Never having made one before, it's all just making it up as I go along. So that's my sample. That's the importance of doing a sample. That's really informed what I'm going to be doing going forward. So now what I'm going to do is show you the new colour scheme that I've kind of come up with. I told you things would develop. Nothing. I start out with one thing, and often it just changes. It just kind of comes into me to go, oh, let's put what would happen if, is my favourite question. What would happen if I put this colour with this colour and see what happens? Okay, so I'll just show you that next. Okay, so this is my sample with the Violin, and this is my big piece now, and I've taken out the stitch and tear and I've put a big piece of Violin underneath, which is nice. As I say, it's a bit softer, a bit more flexible, and I think it's going to work better. So this is my original pieces, and I said to you that I had popped a little bit of colour in there. I suddenly felt like this needed other colours with it, just to bring it out, give it a bit of zing. And I tried some pinks and I didn't like that. I tried pink and I did some red, and I even I tried like yellow, and I tried some green, and I just didn't like any of those. So this is where playing with your fabrics comes in. The minute I started putting some orange in with it, it kind of went, whoa, yes please, we'll have some more of that, thank you very much. So I've got some little shades, little tiny pieces. I've got slightly different shades of the orange. I've got a very dark one, I've got this very light one, and I've actually got a little bit of in-betweeny. I haven't got very much of it unfortunately, but what there is I will use, and I think instantly you can see that that is lifting the colours out, and then when I get the embroidery into the mix as well, it will really give it a bit of a zing and a bit of zip, which is what I want. I wanted this really dark, lush sort of set of colours, but also I wanted this sort of surprise. And I was again looking at, talked about using some felt as the lining for the case. So again, the pink, no, don't like that. It sort of kills the purples. You could go for it, but I think it just is dull. Again, I haven't got any actual purple. Lilac's not good. But the minute that I found this piece of orange, which kind of, I don't know what you call it, tangerine, it kind of picks up that colour there, and I just thought, yep, that absolutely zings with life now for me. That's, you may think it's a hideous colour combination, but I think together, I just think that comes to life. And I've got some copper to put in with it as well to bring a bit more shine to it. I'm going to use copper thread, which I've used here, and I've got my shiny threads ready. I may put a little pink, oops, she says, I may put a little bit of the pink shine in as well, because I did a little bit there, but I think we will wait and see. I'm prepared. I'm on standby. The pink's on standby waiting. So the next thing is really to start pinning these all on. I need to cut some more bits of orange and I need to get it all pinned in place. So that's going to be the next step. Okay, so I'm making a commitment here, which is always the scary bit. I'm making a commitment to where the colours are going to go, and I've made some decisions and some choices, which can be a little bit scary because you're going, oh, is this going to work out? And it's like, it's a bit like, I suppose, somebody who does ceramics, and you put the beautiful piece that you've made and you put it into the kiln, and you don't know what's going to happen when it's in the kiln. And there's always a sense of anticipation, I think, slightly scary anticipation when I'm preparing anything to get ready for stitching, because I never quite know how my stitching is going to go or what I'm going to feel as I do it. I think it's also, I know it's a much nicer thing to be doing, but sometimes I feel as though it's a bit like writing an essay when you used to have to write essays at school or something, at college, and you actually had to do it. You actually had to commit to doing it. So it's a bit weird doing this stage. You kind of want it done. You kind of want the thing finished and done so you can see it and you'll know it's all right. And I have so enjoyed putting these crazy colours together. I would never have thought. I really didn't know what colours I was going to use for this at all. And then when I got my boxes of fabrics out and started playing and the purples came out, and I just went, oh yes. And then I thought, oh, the turquoise is a necessity. Let's get the turquoise in. And, you know, Bob's your uncle. Here we are several days later with all these mad colours. I think that bit might go down there possibly. Just tuck it in there. So, okay, I think we're ready for the really scary bit of free machine embroidery. Actually, no, that's the fun bit. This is the bit I look forward to very much. It's a little bit floppy, so I'm going to see how it goes with getting it all put down. Obviously, when you're making a little sample like this, that was quite easy to do because it's quite small. This is going to be a little bit more fiddly, but once I get some stitching into it, it'll hold together. I'm sure it'll be fine. So let's get over to my sewing machine. Okay, so here we are with the sewing machine set up for free machine embroidery. It's got my lovely darning foot on again. And I've put in a general purpose sort of, I don't know if you can see that, sort of a purpley, not lilac, purpley pinky sort of coloured thread. And I'm just going to use that to slowly, it's going to be a slow job this, there's no rushing it, slow job of putting all the pieces of fabric down. And I don't mind that it's not the exact colour that's the colour of everything. I think it's going to be a nice way of mixing all the colours. So this is going to, as I say, it's going to be a slow job. This is like, I don't know, it's like putting the foundations in on a house. It's kind of, I've got to just do it slowly, can't rush it. And what I'll do is I'll show you it when I get to the more adventurous bit of sort of colour mixing with the free machine embroidery, because this is going to take me a little while. And actually, that's a really nice thing. There is no rush. There's no need to rush. I've got quite a bit to do. So I will see you shortly when I've got this laid down and ready for some fun stuff. I should say, not funny stuff. That sounds really hilarious. Ready for some fun stuff, okay? Okay, so I have done lots of stitching since I showed you this last time. If I turn this over, don't be surprised about what's on the back, but I've changed my mind again. I've actually added into the mix some of my cotton underlining. Having said I wasn't going to use that, I decided that it needed to have a little bit more body to it. So I've done some stitching. There's quite a lot of stitching in some parts, and I need to add more into the mix. I've done some basic colours. I've put some of this lovely purpley colour on. That's the one I started with. I've done some nice shiny turquoise into the mix, and I've also done some nice shiny sort of lilac-y blue. So we've got all those nice colours going on, and currently what I've got on is a very nice, it's kind of an orangey colour, but it's actually a shiny colour. It's an orangey shiny colour, and that's what I'm moving into now. I want to use some really vibrant colours, these lovely shiny and I want it to be shiny. I feel as though I want lots of light. I mean, you can see already how it's reflecting the light from the velvet and the satiny fabric, and then the lace allows other colours to come through. So I'm doing various stitching. I'm doing sort of swirls. I'm doing, ziggy-zaggy bits. And I'll try and give you a close-up of that later. So I'm just going to do a bit more stitching now to get some more of this orange down. The trick is to do, it's got to be practical because it's a phone case. But I want it to be beautiful and tactile as well, because that's what these fabrics are asking for, and that's kind of my trademark, I think, is to create some texture. So I don't want it completely flat, but on the other hand, it's got to be practical so that you're not rubbing it and catching bits. So this is the lovely thing about free machine embroidery, is you can do whatever you want to. So I can be doing zigzags like that, loose. This is what I call like a loose zigzag. Some of them I think you can see that, I've actually used the zigzag stitch and done some little lines. So I'm doing sort of swirls, I'm doing zigzags, and I'm just generally, and you know what, I'm just having some fun, basically. And it's about mixing the colours, and taking the colour, so taking this sort of shade and putting some of it onto the orangey colours, and taking some of the orangey colours and mixing it onto the darker colours, so that it just becomes harmonious, and the eye can just flow across the surface. And I have to say, I'm absolutely loving it. I think adding the orange in has just brought everything else to life. If I'd just done the turquoise and the maroony colours, the purpley colours, that would have been very nice. But actually the orange just goes wow. It just brings it to life. So I'm doing that little zigzag to cover up those rough edges, because it's shiny, what do you call it? I don't know what it is, light lining fabric or dress fabric. The edges tend to fray, and obviously what you could do is you could be cutting these using not a heat gun. You can buy a soldering iron or something, and you can actually heat the edges and cut the edges with that. But I just go with the flow, and I let those edges just be as they are, and then I can stitch over. I don't as yet know exactly how big this has got to be. So I think when I've done some more, I'm going to do some more orange, and I've got another orange to put into the mix, the orange that I showed you there. And I might put in, I've got some nice shiny stuff somewhere else. I don't know whether that's, I think I might put a bit of that into the mix. I don't want anything too yellow, you see, it needs to be orangey toned. So we'll have that as a possibility. And also I've got some copper thread. Oops. I want to add some of that in as a bit of detailing. So I've got a way to go. Sorry, that's probably a bit eye-boggling for you. I've got a way to go, but this is the lovely bit. This is the fun bit. This is what it's all about. And it's being brave and just doing it. And it's knowing that nothing I do is wrong. Just adding things into the mix, letting my machine go for a wander. I think because it could get a bit busy with all of this going on, but because we've kept to the same colours, if you like, I'm using the same colours over and over again. So I don't know, there are about 6 colours or something. There's 3 shades of orange, which I was lucky to find in my stash. And then these are all sort of same sort of tones. And then there's some dark turquoise. So it's not too busy, I don't think. And the trick, I think, with mixing your colours is you don't do every colour in every area. So I move around. I take the colours for a wander. The thing about doing this is I don't know exactly which bits I'm going to be cutting out from. So I'm just sewing where I think I need to. And I'm just enjoying. the different colours on each other. I mean, this turquoise bit may not be used in the final thing, but it doesn't matter. I'm giving it a little bit of orange into the mix. Okay, so I've changed threads a few times and I've now got a beautiful shiny orange. It's slightly different to the previous one that I had. It's a more vibrant orange, and I'm just going to do a little bit of stitching, and then the last colour thread I'm going to use is some copper, and then we'll be done and ready to do the scary bit, the next scary bit, which is cutting it to the shape that I need to make it into a phone case.